Good morning, my Facebook, Instagram family. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Back to the World. My brother and my sister's keeper. I'm Tony, and thank you guys for coming on board. Uh, the music that you may hear in the background, we don't own the rights to. But if you have any comments, questions, or anything that you care to share, hit us in the boxes down below and let us know your thoughts. Man, I wish that a lot of you guys can come on. You'll find out more about us by asking more questions about us. And it'll give us a premise and a platform in which to answer all of your thoughts, your questions, your doubts, whatever it may be. But, anyway, like I said, the music that you hear in the background, we don't own the rights to. But on our YouTube channel, just hit like, comment, share. Ring the bell, man. Do whatever they do on YouTube. I don't keep up with a lot of that, and and I'm not saying that I'm not being cavalier about it and saying that I don't keep up with that, because obviously all those things are important. If not, they wouldn't be in the realm of what it is that we're doing with podcasts. Man, I've seen people come on long after us, man, and they're receiving astronomical amount of funding. We don't have that sort of personality, that cachet. I wish that we did. I mean, heaven knows, that's part of the industry. This morning, last night, the Kelsey brothers, a former football player and his brother from the reigning Kansas City Chiefs, they just received $100 million contract. They're being paid $100 million to host their podcast. But they are celebrities in their own right. They are that. And we're not in competition. So nowhere in the world are we trying to compete with them. And then you take the guys for $1 million worth of game. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. As far as life goes, I know that I have more of a full body of work, if you will. I know that my life encapsulates so much that my story is more extensive than both of these guys put together. And not only that, the same thing. And I'm not saying anything to discount what others are doing. No way am I doing that. But I'm just saying that these guys, even Mace and the brother Cameron. I mean, I love both of those guys. Cameron played basketball down here in Texas. I've gone to a couple of their games and watched him play. So, they're celebrities in there. They are celebrities, not in their own right. They are truly entertainers, and they have a great platform. Cameron knows what he's talking about because he knows basketball. And the smart people in charge, they saw that. They understood that. They knew what they wanted from them. So that's why they went into negotiations with them, and that's why they paid them. Well, we're not in that arena first and foremost. And to be truthful with you, everyone pretty much that's coming home out of prison, and when I say everyone, I try not to use that term when we say everyone. But most guys that's coming home from prison, they want to write a book. They want to do community. It's almost like you're in the halfway house. They want to do community services. You shouldn't have to join a program in order to do community services. Just do it. You know what I mean? But now everybody's going for a grant. Everybody's looking for seed monies coming from the government. I know some people that I'm very close to that are very, very successful at this. They've received grants, they've received property and endorsements and what have you. And we haven't received any of that. And I mean, it's not that I wouldn't want it. It's not that I wouldn't like it. Maybe I don't know who to reach out to. But all I know is this. And my purpose for being here this morning is to tell you what exactly Back to the World and Sonetquity is all about. And then I'll let you be the judge, right? So, just to go back and give you a backstory, while in prison, I would watch Sports Center, or I would watch the Fox Sports Network. I am a sports fanatic, not to the degree that I'll wear the colors and I'll paint my face, or I'll try to go to every game or what have you. But I've been a football fan ever since Don Meredith was the quarterback for the Cowboys. And many of you, if you're a football fan, you know how far back that goes. An era that preceded Too Tall Jones. You know what I mean? So I've been a fan of football, basketball. Earl the Pearl Monroe, Lou Alcindor, when he first came into the league, Wilt Chamberlain, so Jerry West. So this is when I was watching basketball, and Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier was my most favorite basketball player because he was so sharp, man. He drove Rolls Royces the whole bit. And then come Moses Malone. So I've been a basketball fan. So with that said, I would watch the Sports Network, and after a while, that seemed to be a change in the telecasting, in the broadcasting, and then it started looking like these guys were doing the broadcasting like almost in a closet, if you will. Nothing was produced. They was just going at it raw, like Don Imus and Howard Stern. So I like that concept. After I sat back and I liked the concept because these guys didn't have on makeup. A fan was turning in the background. You hear noises, the whole bit. So I liked it because it seemed to have been so unpretentious. And even back then, when I was on the inside, I said, you know what? I want to do something like that. But I know it wasn't going to be sports. But I didn't know if it weren't sports, what could it be? Because I wasn't seeing anything else. We had limited television. So I know it wasn't going to be like 106 in Park, if you will, because I didn't know if I was going to get back into the entertainment circle with a circle of friends or whatever. But I know that I was out of touch with a lot of the entertainers or celebrities that I had known. Wasn't communicating more or less with any, and even more were communicating with me, even less rather. So I just didn't know what it was going to be. But I know that right then and there, I wanted to do a podcast. So fast forward, life went on. I ended up getting clemency. I didn't even have clemency when I thought about doing a podcast. So once I received clemency, then it was time to think about it. I didn't think about what. I focused on coming home and my re-entry. And, just to get home and get settled in and then get reacclimated. So after coming home, a lot of things had changed. And going through the process was rigorous. Social Security card, get your driver's license, all of your medical. And keep in mind, I was approaching the age of 65. So in doing so, excuse me a second, everybody. In approaching that, sorry y'all, but in approaching that age, I was qualified for Social Security. So that's a different animal. Sorry about that pause. As I said, everything is live. I was checking on some things outside here, but be that as it may, back to the story. So I realized that, you know what? Here is my story. This is what I want to do. I want to assist everyone that's returning home from incarceration. All right? That's what I want to do. That's what I want the podcast to be about. And what will we name that podcast? We're going to name it Back to the World. So upon my arrival, after going through everything, orientation and a whole bit, the halfway house, learning how to maneuver over a cell phone, social media, I'm not too far advanced right now, but just learning social media. And then I said, well, okay, I got my equipment, and I said, you know what, I think that I'm ready. But prior to Back to the World, right, I created Sonetquity. Sonetquity stands for Social Networking with Equity. I did a network marketing project from on the inside. And we launched it in 2001. When I launched that, I did not have any access to the outside. I had never seen social media. But I knew that I wanted to market something online. So what we did, I designed a network marketing system that was showing you how to advertise over social media. Online, rather. And our deal was called NMBC, right? And it was called Network Marketing Bookclub. And what we did, we had 5 newsletters that would tell you how to market your business and scale your business online. I started that business. I wanted to do something that will earn money for me to pay for my legal defense. I wanted to design a business. See, because I had made really tons of money, and I had none of it. That was a hollow feeling. There was a big burden upon me. My legal fees and everything was running into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had no one on the outside willing to pick up that tab. And I didn't have it. So I had to think of a way on how can I earn this money without having to get back into the business that I was in, right? And I had to earn it fast. So I started looking towards network marketing because I understand the mechanics of network marketing. There are, here's the thing. There are many companies out there that you say are successful, and then there are many that aren't. But one thing that both of those companies have in common, they both make a lot of money, and they both make it fast. So with that mindset, I didn't care which side of the fence I landed on. I'm already in prison at that point. So if I make a lot of money and then the company end up being a bust, I would have accomplished what I was after. On the other hand, if this company can persevere, if it can last, and I make a lot of money fast, and then it can continue and go on, right? So I did it. But I figured I could land someplace in the middle. And that's where I wanted to land. So, just a second, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Neff. How are you?
Good morning. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. I'm in the middle of a podcast. What you got going on?
Oh, you doing a podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just call me get through.
Okay, as soon as I'm done.
Oh, okay.
All right, bye-bye. So, real time, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you, we're not polished and we're not polished. We're not polished and produced. You know, this is real time here. But anyway, before I was interrupted, I've had someone to stop watching us because I've answered the phone and a whole bit. But then, you know, you have call-ins. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't talk about anything that they wanted to hear. But we started the company. We launched the business selling the 5 newsletters. We launched it in I launched it January 2nd, 2001. When I launched that business, I designed it for members to do mass email marketing. Sort of what Smart Desktop AI is doing right now. But I designed NMBC to do that in 2001, ladies and gentlemen, mass email marketing. So I hired a company to do the mass email marketing, to send out 150,000 emails, just send them out randomly. And we were charging $5, and $5 was enclosed in an envelope mailed to the person that's requesting, the person that has the report that you're going to need. So in other words, you will mail $5 to 5 different individuals requesting report 1 through 5. You can only get report 1 from someone specific. And it was the same way for the remaining 4. All right? So all these people would receive $5 envelopes with $5 enclosed. So anyway, we designed the business, and the information was valuable. But keep in mind, you got to ask yourself why you're really into this. And see, a lot of people like to lie and be cavalier about certain things. See, I wanted to provide good information, but my goal was to make money. Why? Because I desperately needed it. Let's not lie to ourselves. We can come out and we can talk about, I wanted to save the world. I wanted to earn a lot. No, I needed to earn a lot of money in order to fund my legal defense. So that was the motivating factor. All right. And, I wasn't caught up on a whole lot of the penitentiary politics the whole bit. I was trying to start a business to get me money. Selfish reasons, but a necessity nonetheless. So the bottom line is, I ended up starting a business. We launched it. My only equipment or material that I needed, someone on the outside that was managing the business, which was this young lady, Ms. Deborah Warner, if she's listening, if anyone ever listens and hears it. This was in 2001. Well, the first couple of months we didn't earn anything. And see, I went on this big hoopla about this, man, talking about how big and how gigantic it was. Our equipment, again, was a laptop, email address, a P.O. box, and a company that you will pay to do mass emails for you. So this was our only equipment that we had. So for the first month or 2, nothing. Month 3, nothing. 4, nothing. On the 5th month, the post office was calling her, telling her to come check her P.O. box. Come pick up her mail. So she went to pick up the mail from the P.O. box. But first, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. I was distraught. It was 5 months and nothing happened. I felt like a failure, right? I felt like a failure because in 5 months we had not done anything. So lo and behold, in May, the young lady told her friend what was going on and what happened, what she was receiving. And her friend contacted her husband, who was doing time with me. And that's how I met her. Well, she relayed a message telling him to let me know to call the young lady. So I did. Lo and behold, when I called her, she said she went to the post office and she had to pick up 2 full little carts, sacks of mail. Had a total of $65,000 in $5 bills in envelopes. Right then and there, I knew that we were on to something. So I put my nose to the grindstone and started grinding. So from May to September 11th, we earned $516,000 in $5 bills. And man, I felt like it was never going to end. I was able to do a few things, man, take care of my legal situation a whole bit. But, I tried to make some other investments and everything. But when 9/11 happened, 9/11 brought the internet to a grinding halt. And when it did, it crashed. When the internet crashed, we didn't have anything saving our database. Because I wasn't aware of anything like this. Keep in mind, I'm someone on the inside. All I'm doing is reading up about all different types of businesses, but I'm not doing it literally. So I did not know how to save the data. And you see, in order to keep the business going, you need to know where to send your $5 for each of these 5 reports. So once the internet crashed, you didn't know who to follow. You didn't know who to forward your $5 envelope to. So needless to say, the business was brought to a grinding halt. So after that, I tried many, many occasions to capture lightning in a bottle. But it was very, very difficult because I could not find anyone. Well, let me back up. So when the internet crashed, social media, and I realized that this was coming to a stop. It's just the way that I think in just about any business. And when you have someone that's out front of the business like that for you, you have to think that when the spigot is shut down and turned off, that person 9 times out of 10 is going to try to make way with the monies the whole bit. So I tried to come up with excuses to extract my funds from the young lady. And keep in mind, I just met her since my incarceration. Everyone that I'd known prior to my incarceration, they believed in me. Many of them, on the streets, they believed in me. I've helped many of them financially, and I'm not saying that to brag or anything. It's just that when you're sitting on a fat wallet, after a while, when you have after you've gotten everything that you wanted and everything that you feel you need, then you start to share and you start to help others, and then you start looking forward to it, because I'm telling you, it becomes addicting. So that's what happened. And but all the people that I had known prior to my incarceration, man, they didn't want to touch this business with a 10-foot pole. And it wasn't so much like they was turned off by the fact that it was network marketing. That came later. But prior to that, they just didn't want to do anything like that for me. And I've had many people online, man, trying to get them to do what that young lady did, trying to recapture that moment. Well, needless to say, she ran off with $400,000 of the money. and I lived off the other 116 for years. But now I didn't have enough to take care of the lawyers the way I wanted to. So after I saw that this worked, through some people that I had known, I got in touch with in LA that I had known, they had gotten me a book deal with Little Brown. So after I got the book deal, I was writing my book, and that particular book was called I Already Have Lemonade. What Do I Do with These Lemons? That was the title of my first book, my first manuscript. So I had written a book. In the process of writing a book, I lost my sight. Right? So when I lost my sight, I ended up losing the book deal because I couldn't finish it on time. And because O.J. Simpson, may he rest in peace, he was signed to the same publishing company. It wasn't a lot of little boutique companies like you have right now. At that time, it was called Little Brown. And Little Brown was under Fox, Rupert Murdoch. And after O.J. Simpson said, "What if I did it?" when that book came out, they fired the editor and all of her staff. And I was signed by some of the young ladies, that a set of twins that was on her staff. So I lost my book deal. And when I gained my sight back, I tried marketing the book to different companies and the whole bit, but a lot of the companies didn't like my book that was doing hood lick, because my book wasn't hood enough. It didn't have a lot of griminess in it. And this is where Vicky Stringer, and I can't think of the other lady's name, but anyway, she did Let That Be the Reason, or whatever the situation is. And then the one out of Philadelphia. Can't think of it right now. But needless to say, these ladies turned me down because my book wasn't gangster enough. So, I accepted that, but I still tried shopping and I continued to write. Well, I decided to start my own publishing company. And I had a relative with some of the money I had. I was going to do what they call self-publishing on demand. And I was dealing with a company out of Canada, and they were purchased by Random House. And with this company, what happens is that you would write your manuscript, you would get it printed and published, and what happened, they would post it on the page, they would get you a web page, and they will market your book and sell your book, the whole bit. And you have to pay for different levels of packages and all that. So I paid for a pretty hefty package. And while I was waiting on all this to happen, my cousin ended up getting arrested. So I ended up losing out on that deal because, he was the one that was taking care of everything for me. And that just fell by the wayside. So I couldn't get anyone to push that agenda. Bottom line, I continued to write. And I said, when I get out, I'm going to publish my book myself, on-demand publishing. So one day on the way to the hospital, I lost my sight, as I said. I was sitting in the van, and I just started thinking. And I said that I could marry my publishing company along with that internet business that I had, selling books online. I thought of this in about 2005, 2004. And I started drawing up the plans. So I looked at how well my campaign worked with selling the newsletters. So I decided to try and sell my books that way. Okay, we're going to have to charge this up here. Real time again, ladies and gentlemen. So I decided to do that, and we married the two. Let me get my cable here. So I started thinking about how this can benefit independent authors better than better than we were being represented. Okay? So I thought about that. And I said, you know what? This would be a great opportunity. So I tried to push that. I tried to get some of my family and friends to set up this business model. Just didn't work. So anyway, I wrestled and I wrestled. But then I realized that, you know what? This would be a great opportunity for a lot of our people that are financially strapped, that are looking to start their own home-based business. Network marketing is the key. So I studied network marketing. I studied the ramifications. I looked into what made some companies legal, what made some companies illegal. I looked into what caused some companies to be called a Ponzi scheme and others to be called a pyramid scam. Well, when I got into the history of it, and I realized that every business operates from a pyramid structure. Everyone needs to know this. I realized that as long as you have the people following the system, the business is going to always be successful because the money is going to continue to circulate. Keep in mind, that's what you're in it for. That's how everyone nobody became rich by just getting their money and then sitting on it. The money has to go out and it has to come back in. But as it goes out, it has to assist and build and create in order to multiply, in order to come back to you so it can repeat the process continuously. So I studied this. I studied the laws of economics. I purchased a book called The Prosperity Bible, and that's all it talked about, right? The Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, all of these empires were sustained by people doing network marketing, and that was working together. So I went on a crusade. I went on a sabbatical, if you will, and I studied this, right? The difference between network marketing companies that are successful and those that failed is that the people failed the system for the company that failed. Then I studied the blessing circles back in 2004, 2003. People weren't doing them the way they're doing them now. In other words, not in the United States as far as us as a people. Only immigrants were doing this. Because, see, keep in mind, there's not a place where a person that's considered an immigrant hadn't come to this country from a country that's older than this country. Okay? And as they say, sometimes, if you want to succeed, if you want to grow, you study the past. You study the history. Because history tells you how you got to where you are. And if you're in a bad place, then you know not to repeat that history. But if you look at the successes of the past, then you follow those successes. Okay? So blessing circles, also known as susus, also known as, susu is the old name for it, from Africa. And then you have South America, you have Mexico, Central America, and you have Europe, and you have the Middle East. Many network marketing businesses were started this way, right? But these businesses, these systems were done thousands and thousands of years ago. You have one called the tulip mania. Tulip mania was when everyone was investing their money to buy tulips because the tulip flower was the most valuable flower in the world. And if you grew a garden or whatever, and you had these tulips to sell, you will earn the money, right? This preceded Ponzi. I'm gonna get to him. Then in Louisiana and Mississippi, you had one called the bourbon scam or whatever. It came from Bourbon, France, and they formed it in the United States where all these people circulated their monies and made monies, and they were exchanging capital for the purchase of this bourbon or what have you. Okay, so then Ponzi came along. Ponzi was an Italian in Boston that was selling stamps, U.S. stamps, right? So he was purchasing stamps at a discount and he was selling them for a surplus, just like stock. So anyone that would invest with him, that would give him an advancement of their monies to buy maybe thousands and thousands of stamps at that particular time, and with the maturity and the difference in the market differentiation of the value, Ponzi would then pay those people that gap. That's what it's called. So what happened, Ponzi didn't start this business to screw anybody. Ponzi started this business enriching his community, enriching those who wanted to grow their fund, if you will. So what happened, the United States regulated the stamp industry and they changed the prices. So now there is not that gap in the middle for Ponzi to give to his investors, but the investors continue to invest. So now Ponzi has more money than he knows what to do with. So it was Ponzi who started paying his old investors off with the monies from the new investors. So that's what made that particular business illegal. Ponzi was an honest man that did dishonest things. So then Madoff come about and does the same thing. So when all these things started happening, I studied it. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, if everyone would have left their monies in the bank, all right, and continued to let Ponzi, not Ponzi, Ponzi ended up going to prison, serving time, and he died destitute, all right? Bernie Madoff did as well in the end. But here's my point. For 30 years, Bernie Madoff juggled a pyramid scam. Let's call it what it is. It's not a scheme. A scheme is the manner in which businesses are structured, right? In which systematically the system flows, right? And it must flow. See, a pyramid structure is just as necessary in business as two people being on a seesaw, right? Where one is up and one is down, and then one propels up and lower the other down. Other than that, if it's equal and it's just sitting across, what good is the ride? It has no purpose. So in order to circulate or in order to function, this is what must transpire. It's just like an hourglass. There's a little hole in the cylinders between the two cylinders where the sand trickles down from the top to the bottom. Once that happens, then you turn the cylinder over and it reciprocates. So this is how network marketing companies are supposed to work, and this is how the systems work. So I forgot my train of thought, but what happens is, as I said, had Bernie Madoff, had people continued to leave their monies in the bank, right, they would have continued to receive their residual. It's just like playing musical chairs. As long as the music's playing, no one's concerned about sitting down. All right? So with Bernie Madoff, they should have let the music continue to play. But people panicked and they rushed to the bank. This is what happened with the stock market crash back in 1929. This is what happens. See, no one wants to leave their money there because they're afraid that they may lose it all. But the thing is, with a system like that, everything is paying into it. So the business can sustain. But when people start drawing their monies out, taking their monies out, here's what happened. Now there's not enough to sustain the downline. There's no other monies coming in. So now it's going to crash on its own weight. So this is what happened. So anyway, I thought about that, and I thought about how poorly our people were doing. So I tried to design the business where it was affordable. I disliked different companies. Well, put it this way, it's not so much I disliked it, but there were many companies that were very expensive to become a part of. All right. Then there were companies where I couldn't understand the compensation plan. And then there were companies that you had to work, signing up people infinitely every day. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to design a business that was reasonable to join. $65 a month, and what you will receive is the book of the month because we are a private book club. The $65 paid. Where does your funds go? Okay, it goes to $25 to sustain your downline. All right, keep in mind, as I said, you must pay into a system in order to get back your residual. So your entire $65 wasn't paying into the system, it was $25. But you had to pay for the book that you were ordering, right? And then $5 for our company for facilitating and handling the transactions. I thought it was a fair deal. So we were very excited about it. We built it, we kicked it around, finally found a company to build the system. They built it just as we designed, and I was happy about that. But then when COVID hit, everybody started doing blessing circles the whole nine without truly understanding the mechanics of it. Everybody will get in, everybody figure when they'll sign someone and they'll fill out the matrix, then they're going to get what they get. And it usually works that way. Many people made a lot of money. But as soon as they got their money, they took the money and run. It's like playing The Price is Right. But just as I said, if everyone would have stayed in the system with Bernie Madoff, we wouldn't have this conversation, nor would we know this name. So with the blessing circles, as soon as the people got their ends, they did two things wrong. One, they try to put their name in multiple places so they can receive multiple payouts. Two, once they got their payout, they aborted. So now you have to find, so now that stagnates that entire system until someone else comes in. Because most of the money that was paid in the upline, that was given in the upline, it was paid out. Well, most of the money that was given in the downline, it was paid out to the upline. So these people now have earned their monies. So now they're sitting back. They don't care what happens next. But now anyone else coming in is going to sustain that person whose money is paid out because now they're next in the upline. It's just like Social Security, ladies and gentlemen. So we realized that we had a great model, man, and we wanted to take care of our people. And I thought that, man, it would just take off and it would just, man, it would just go down the road, man, and it'll do wonderful things. See, because now I've gotten away from thinking about doing it just for me because I wanted to be rich. It wasn't about me anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference because, see, I've been rich. I'd been rich multiple times, but I've never had wealth. And what I mean by that is this. What would have given me wealth was to create something that my people would join in and share and become financially free at the same time. So when I came home, we started Back to the World to help people transition back into society. Then, with Sonetquity always being the vision, I couldn't launch Sonetquity as soon as I came home because I could not afford to pay to build our system. So we started Back to the World to try to get all of our people that was on hardship, living below the poverty level, couldn't find a job. Everyone returning home from prison that still had that hustle in them, but they didn't want to sell drugs anymore. They didn't want to do robberies or whatever anymore. So I designed this for them, literally for us. Because for $65 membership a month, you have the opportunity that's already designed for you to earn $19,525 a month. I don't know why people find difficulties in seeing that and seeing everything, all the mechanics in between. I don't know why people see a problem in it. And maybe we're overthinking it. But anyway, we did that. So in order to try and get people's minds ready and geared towards network marketing, we started an evening podcast called called Back to the World Presents Billionaires Roundtable Conference. Now, the reason why we called it that, because see, everybody wants to be either millionaire, billionaire, or zillionaire, or a trillionaire, right? So we came with Brillionaire. Brillionaire means that you can achieve the illionaires if you have a brilliant idea. So we started that, and we wanted people to call in and what have you. We sit back and we talk about how to build a business, how to leverage, how to get funding. All right, how to matriculate within society when you're thinking that you're lost and you're downtrodden. Showing our people how to make the transition from the street hustle to the Wall Street hustle. All things Black Wall Street, we was trying to teach with that. So that's when we started Billionaires Roundtable Conference. Well, shortly after that, we launched Sonetquity. And when we launched Sonetquity, we came out with like gangbusters, man. But then it just petered out. Because most of the people were saying, I can't sign 5 people. Nobody wants to sign. And a lot of people were disappointed. And they shared their disappointment with me. And I understood it. I had very, very close family members and friends saying that they just couldn't sign someone because the first thing they say, that sounds like a Ponzi scheme, sound like a pyramid scheme. Well, the gifting cycle, or the gifting circle and the blessing circles really gave us a black eye. And that's not to take anything away from blessing circles and the gifting circles, because they have sustained immigrants, man, for many, many thousands and thousands of years. There's a story about a family in Iran. They were once wealthy and they lost their wealth. Just like me. And, society was shunning them. Some people in society are shunning me because I don't have the money it's like I used to. And they were only in my life because of the money. I understand that. You got to know your position and you got to play your position. So I knew that. So these people in Iran, and this was just during the time when President Obama placed the embargo on them with their $6 billion that he froze in assets for them. So they couldn't receive that money. So these people had resorted to, they were merchants. They were no different than people that would go to a flea market and try to sell different things every weekend. Even if it was just bottles of water or juice. That's what this family did. There was a husband, wife, and 2 daughters. So every time the boats would come over to Iran, they would try to sell to all the seamen that get off the boats and what have you, coming from different countries. So there was a boat that came in from Italy, and a guy left a magazine. Okay. And a guy left the magazine. A guy left the magazine from Italy. So the father picked up the magazine and he read it from cover to cover. Right? When he read the magazine, he saw an advertisement in the magazine for a makeup line. So he looked at it. It was makeup. He's Muslim. He wasn't that interested in it. But then he read the infrastructure of that business. He read the mechanics of the business and how the business marketed and how it sold. Well, how it was setting up, it was done in network marketing, and it was an affiliate program to where as you join, and then you sign up others to join, and they sign up others to join. And to join it will cost $300,000, where you buy your kit, the whole bit, and you get all your information, all of your publications and everything, the whole bit. So anyway, he did it. He spent his last $300 that month on purchasing his starter kit for this Italian cosmetic company. So finally, his package came. He studied it up and down the whole bit. So he realized what it would take for this company to be a success. He had to sign up members. So what he would do before he would go to one person, two people, three people, he gathered all of the people who had once been wealthy and lost their wealth, and they were living in abject poverty in Iran. So when he pulled them together and told them what they could achieve by joining and just following the structure, the people joined and they embraced it because they understand it. Because keep in mind, this is the Persian this is the Persian Empire. So all these people were once wealthy. They understood the mechanics of prosperity and the laws of economics. So they did it, and in 6 months, they had earned over $16 million, this family. And all the rest of their members, as the money circulates from the product, they became wealthy again. So they were on an interview. I read a magazine. I read a story on them. And they told their story, just their story, how long it took them to earn that money, how they got started, how the dad saw a magazine that was thrown away. And the lady said, well, what did you think about the product? He said, what do you mean? She said, well, the product, was it a good product? He said, it was a great product in the sense of what it did for my family. He said, but I wasn't concerned about the product. I was more concerned about the system and what it would do for us as a people. I'm Muslim. I don't wear makeup. Well, what about your wife and your daughters? They don't wear makeup either. I stand by this product for what it did for us as a people, but I'm not interested in makeup. This is where we get torn. We start splitting hairs. I'm not saying just be in the business. I know everybody that support a network marketing, they like to lie to themselves and say that the product is what we want. The money is what you want, ladies and gentlemen. If you need to say that to satisfy yourself, say that. But the money is what you were really looking for. And this is how you can achieve it and help others to achieve it as well. Even Stormy, what's her name? Stormy Wellington? Stormy, that's over network marketing, man. That's very, very successful in this business. I read a story on her back then, long before she became successful. She was homeless, pretty much. Didn't have running water. Working at a strip club. I mean, I can say that. I'm not trying to denigrate her. This is her story. Someone saw her in a strip club and said that, she looked nice the whole bit, but looked like you were worried about something. Looked like you'd rather be anywhere but here. So she said, yes. The guy said, well, how about if I turn you on to a business where you can make $30,000 in a month? Well, she was offended by that because she's thinking the guy talking about becoming a sex worker. That's not what he was talking about. So he told her about this product called Body Magic. It was a girdle that helped you lose weight, that trim and tone your midsection. So he turned her on to that. She listened to it. She thought about it. So she said later on what she did, she went to her, it was 7 of them. She went to her other 6 friends and they discussed it, they dialogued it. Many of them didn't agree because they said this ain't nothing but a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. But now keep in mind, nobody's asking them to pay any money at the time to join. The guy said that he will fund it for them. They're living in squalor. And they're trying to determine whether something is legitimate or illegitimate, whether it's a Ponzi scheme or whatever the situation may be, as opposed to truly studying it. And if by chance that it was something real, it can get them out of their dire situation. The fact that they went there to think about that, I mean, it's beyond me. But needless to say, they sat down and they prayed about it. She said they had an Oprah moment, they had a coming to Jesus moment, and they decided to do it. And in a month's time, you know what? You know what Stormy earned? Stormy did not earn $30,000. Stormy exceeded that. She earned $67,000 her first month. And since then, the rest is history. She has an amazing story to tell. A lot of people don't like her, or whatever the situation may be. See, some people are interesting to meet, but not so much interesting to know. But I know where she came from. I don't know her personally, but I know her story. Okay? And it's motivating and it's captivating. So these are two separate stories where people use network marketing and the power of the people to help get them out of their dire situation. So when I created Sonetquity, I created Sonetquity to do that for the masses. And we're still here. And a lot of people say, you guys are all over the place, man. What are y'all about? Well, you know what? I've seen a lot of companies get on here. I've seen a lot of people start businesses and they're on social media, and I don't see them anymore. They probably made a bunch of money, man. We haven't made any money like that. But here we are. Since 2019, and it's 2024 right now, and it's coming up on our 5th year this October, and we're still here. We're not hopping around, we're sticking with it. We have since brought on the food bank, our food drive, where we feed the hungry, right? That's voluntarily. There's no profit for us in that. We go out and we get with the companies to get them to purchase the food, the whole bit, and we distribute the food to many of the churches. When I first came home, I would work voluntarily with one of the churches here in Houston, giving out food. I didn't stay there long, but I did it just to understand, just to humble myself. And I saw so many people coming to get food during the food drive, man, during COVID. People were pulling up in Mercedes-Benz's, Jaguars, Porsches even, Range Rovers, whatever the situation were, high dollar cars, Mercedes-Benz's. They were coming, all right? So we started our food drive doing that. Then we paired up and companied with Capri Mortgage to where we can provide affordable housing for our people. Affordable housing, zero down financing. We have companies that do credit evaluation for us. If your credit score is low, they give you certain opportunities, instructions, and guidelines to raise your credit level, right? Because we know that these are things that people need. When they say we're jumping all over the place, no, we're not. We're keeping our focus. But there are many things, there are many mansions within Back to the World and Sonetquity. Okay, so then we have a construction team that does the tiny houses, that build the tiny houses, the whole bit. But mainly, we want to literally get into the business of financing our own build-outs to where we can build a community that's affordable, and we wouldn't have to rely on the government. And we also teach financial literacy as well in terms of how to invest, and to teach everyone that we help make money, teach them on how to save and how to spend money. Right now, as blacks in this country, we pump $1.6 trillion a year back into the economy. That's $1.6 trillion. None of that money recirculates it back into our community. It's so minuscule until it doesn't exist. But if we could take that money and place it within aerial investment or a fidelity account, we're going to earn at least 13, 15 to 20% a year. So roughly from a $1.6 trillion investment, right, we will earn $106 billion a year in interest. And now we can divvy up those funds, and now we can infuse those funds back into our community. We have 50 states, all right? Hey, $106 billion divided by 2, right? Pretty much equals, I say divided by 2, but yeah, so roughly, 50 times 2. So that equals right at $100 billion, right? So now that's $2 billion a state. But keep in mind, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Hawaii, and Alaska, they don't have any blacks there. So that's more money that's going to come back into the pot in order to divide. So now we can handle our own infrastructures. And what I mean by that is this: our communities, in terms of building housing, building stores, bringing back businesses, places where merchants, where customers can come, retail outlets and what have you, libraries, books, the whole bit. I didn't even get into that, to where they're striking down all of our books. They're canceling the books. They don't want to. Actually, in Texas, they're shutting down many of the school libraries, the whole bit. That's another story. But that's where Sonetquity Publishing and Bookclub comes in. Okay, providing books to the schools and everything. So these are the things that we still have on our plate. Then we have Nearly. Nearly is a program that's a spinoff from NIL's, name, images, and likenesses for sports for young athletes, for 4-star and 5-star athletes. Well, Nearly is a spinoff of that. You don't have to be famous like Deion Sanders' kids. You don't have to be some of these kids that's on TV. Like, you don't have to be like Angel Reese, any of these guys. More power to them. But you have so many other players that are good from the inner city, and their parents are having a very difficult time providing for them, to going to all the different tournaments, the AAUs, and the whole bit, training camps, the whole bit. Many of these kids are going to excel in sports. But the mother and or father are struggling to sustain and support the family, the rest of their kids. Well, now with this kid's 4-star rating, 5-star rating, he can now apply, because and as a matter of fact, if he's 4-star, 5-star, he's eligible. And then he can achieve or he can receive an advancement and leverage on his talent. He can receive a certain amount of funding. And he won't have to pay that back. If he goes pro, then he'll pay. But if he doesn't go pro, or he decide to, I want to pursue medical law school, he don't have to pay it back. Heaven forbid if he's injured, he's insured. He won't have to pay it back. But now he can help a family, and there on our page, if you check it out, there are many young athletes that are on our page who have benefited from this, and they have infused funding in their houses, in their homes, as maybe as low as a junior in high school. These are the things that we're doing to help our community. We're not all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. We're still keeping our focus. 5 years and we're still here. I've seen many of you, man, get on here and you have money stacked that high. We haven't seen anything like that. Many of those other, like I said, $1 million worth of game, all the different athletes with the podcast, the whole bit. This is wonderful. We don't bear their cachet. And all these people that can fix your credit and have you riding in yachts, and riding in limousines and the whole bit, we can't do those things for you either. And we don't want you to pay us to do that. But here it is. 5 years later, we're still here. And we're adding to our program. We have, and right now I'm adding one more, and it's importing. We have access, man, to so many wonderful things if you sign up and DM us, man. And right now we're getting ready to produce our own line of Batana oil. And when I say our own line, it's our own distributorship. But our Batana oil is 100% raw, 100% authentic. I can show you, I can post pictures and show you where our product comes from. Our product comes straight from the jungles of Honduras. Excuse me. There's no cut on it. And I'm telling you, we're selling it like it's cocaine, brother. So all of you out there who've been in that business, we're selling 100% raw. Everything about this that I'm telling you is sold that way that we used to sell. So DM me if you're interested, and then you can become a distributor. You can become your own distributor of Batana oil. Go on the website, Google Batana oil and Dr. Sibi. And if you don't have access to it, you do now through us. You can purchase your 1 liter bottle of Batana oil from us. There are 34 ounces. Tell me if this don't sound familiar. There's 34 ounces in a 1 liter bottle of pure 100% raw Batana. 34 ounces. Ladies and gentlemen, ounces are selling anywhere between $20 and $30. I've seen some sell for $40. Okay? If you have a market for it, by all means, come see us. And you can get your Batana oil from us for as high as $100. $100 a liter. Now you would have to pay for your shipping. You would have to pay for your shipping. So we would include that price. But for right at $100, no more than 100, well, I say about $120 a bottle. We're still working on that because we have to pay for shipping. And anything that's coming from the country, it's very expensive for Federal Express and what have you, and U.S. mail from overseas, from South America. But we are the plug, ladies and gentlemen, for Batana oil. Buy your liters from us. Now, you're not going to buy, I'm talking about straight raw, right? So you're going to have to package it. You're going to have to buy your containers, put your labels on it, whatever you want to name your company. So any of you that's out there and you understand that market that we were in, all right, we have Batana oil the same way. You can buy a liter, which is the equivalent of a kilo, and you can break it down into ounces, right? You can break it down into ounces, and this way here you have 34 ounces per liter, and you can market it as you wish because you see the value, you see the gap in there. But yeah, we have that to offer, ladies and gentlemen. So sign up, come on board, and check us out. We're just trying to do some things to sustain ourselves, man. We just wish this thing catches on and it becomes viral. So I'm praying that the Batana does. All right? But needless to say, that's what we're about. Join us tonight, man, and we may recap and do a lot of this again. I've been on just about an hour now, and I didn't intend to stay on that long. But I just wanted to tell you, with all the different things that we have going on, we're not all over the place. We still have our focus. It's just that everybody else hadn't seen this yet. As I said, had I been free, or had I had an opportunity, there are several things I could have benefited from. And that's the starting of a business where AI is doing the marketing over email. I thought of this in 2001, right? Independent self-publishing, thought of that in 2000, 2002, where you're doing on-demand publishing, where you didn't have to go out and get a lot of books printed up. You just get your books published just like Amazon, Kindle. I thought of that, ladies and gentlemen, in 2002, 2003. You know, I'm not bragging here. This is what I did. Then, 2008, 2009, I started reading about the cryptocurrency craze, and it was Bitcoin. And I thought about that, and I was looking at, well, prior to that, the Bitcoin craze. I tried to catch on to that, and I tried to get someone to write my white paper so we can start our own token, which was Sonetquity, a Sonetquity token. I couldn't get anyone to write the white paper. And at that time, all you had to do to present your white paper, and if any company would have been the underwriter, we then would have had our own token, and you would have to buy our token from a blockchain. All right? And with our business model, if you bought our token for anywhere about $45 or 45 cents a token, right? It would have been worth millions or hundreds of millions today. Yes, because our model was self-sufficient and it earned money. So this is what we were looking to do. I couldn't get no one to write the white paper. I didn't want to buy cryptocurrency. I didn't want to buy Bitcoin. I wanted to start my own Bitcoin. My own token. So I couldn't get that done. So then when crowdfunding and all this came out, all you had to do was just go on site, draw up your campaign, write your campaign, and the company would market your campaign for at least 60 days or however long. You had to gear up on how much money you were looking to make. You didn't have to owe anybody that was given to your crowdfunding or whatever the situation is, Kickstarter, the whole bit. So there were companies that were earning 10, 15, 20 million dollars, and they didn't have to pay it back because there were no guidelines, there was no regulations. So then finally in 2013, Obama regulated it. So now you had to do what you said you were going to do with the money. It wasn't that we were going to do anything nefarious, but it was low-hanging fruit at that time. I missed out on all these things, ladies and gentlemen, because of incarceration. But here I am. I'm still here. Next, finally, I thought that Sonetquity was going to jump off right out the gate. But then before I came home, people started doing the blessing circles. So when they did the blessing circles, they just jumped in, hearing that it was a great opportunity and that they could make a heck of a lot of money. And many people did. But they abused the concept. And by abusing the concept, so now I come home with the business plan and it seems tainted because it has some of the same mechanics as the gifting circles. Needless to say. But here I am. At some point or another, somebody's going to stop and think, and they're going to say, you know what, man? I think Tony's on to something. Because we're not giving up. Many of my friends, man, family members, some people call me crazy. They say, man, you know what? You're wasting away. You're wasting all your money, all your time. And there are moments I feel that way. But just when I start feeling that way, I think about Stormy. I think about the Iranian family that started selling the makeup that didn't care about makeup. I start thinking about these people's story and how many more of us are out there like that are already into network marketing, and they just haven't taken the time. My comrade, we were at ends. We were head to head. We were bumping heads on the subject. And it was because I couldn't express it to him articulately. And he couldn't wrap his head around what I was trying to express. But finally he understood. And although he didn't agree with everything, all I wanted him to do was say, aha, I kind of get it, Tony. And he'd even tried, when he couldn't really wrap his head around it, he even tried getting other people to become members of our business. But And he's been in this business for 25 or 30 years. But he couldn't convince others to join because he couldn't articulate to them to get past the fulfillment of the matrix. I got to do better at explaining it because the system is wonderful. It does everything that we say. And I'd like to think he doesn't know it, but he's a mentor and he's a comrade. Mr. David Bryant, right? From the Mr. Support Friends group. Thank you, David. And we're going to come together on this, man. Because I'm not stopping. You can see that I'm relentless. Maybe I am foolish. The jury's still out. But at any rate, you guys join us tonight for Billionaires Roundtable Conference, presented to you by Back to the World, where we discuss all things Sonetquity Book Club meets smart desktop AI. Thank you guys for coming on board. Peace.